Hello from Leeds. I'm feeling great today as I've just come back from having my COVID vaccine. I hope you're all safe and well, wherever you are. Here in England, we're waiting for the easing of the lockdown restrictions to start. In just a few days, I'm hoping that I'll be able to drive over the Pennines from Leeds over to Manchester to see my mum. Even though I have to stand 2 metres away from her, that is better than seeing her through a video screen. How long have we been in lockdown? We seem to have been waiting for it to end forever. The season of Lent, like the season of Advent, is a time of waiting. For some of my friends who've given up chocolate, it might be 6 weeks of waiting until they can eat chocolate again. Or maybe others have given up something else for this Lent period. Waiting. It's not always easy, is it? I remember driving from Anglesey, where we used to live, to my grandma's house in Manchester. And me and my brother would be in the back of the car. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Mum, are we there yet? And we'd hardly got out of the village where we lived in Anglesey. How often do we hear that when it's a drive to a holiday destination, or in our case to grandma's house? In the Bible there are many accounts of people waiting for God to do something or for situations to change. Psalm 13 verses 1 to 6. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death, and my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. This psalm demonstrates that waiting is not a passive state. It encourages us to keep praying when we're waiting. David continues to cry out to God, look on me and answer, O Lord my God, give light to my eyes. He pours out his heart to God. Don't give up praying, even if God seems far away. Secondly, we're encouraged to keep trusting. But I trust in your unfailing love. Verse 5 says, I've thrown myself headlong into your arms, the translation in the Message says. It is relatively easy to have faith when things are going well, but the test of faith is when things do not appear to be going well. Thirdly, we're encouraged to keep rejoicing. The psalmist does not rejoice in the trials. He rejoices in God's salvation. My heart rejoices in your salvation, he says in the second half of verse 5. Again in the Message it says, I'm celebrating your rescue. And fourthly, we're encouraged to keep worshipping. In spite of everything he's been through, David is able to see the goodness of God. I will sing to the Lord, for he has been good to me. Verse 6. He remembers all that God has done for him. As we pass through Lent, as we enter Holy Week, we have the advantage of knowing how the story ends. But I wonder what it was like for those first believers. Those 3 days between Jesus' death on the cross and his glorious resurrection must have been so long. Israel had been waiting for the promised Messiah for so long. Was God going to fulfill his promise? Had the disciples got it wrong? After all, the person they all thought was the Messiah had just been crucified and was laid to rest in a tomb closed by a big stone. Sometimes we have to wait for God to answer his promise. But as we're encouraged in the second letter of Peter, the Lord is not slow to fulfill his promise, as some count slowness. I pray that this Lent, this Easter, you'll be pleased to wait for God's promise to come true. And on that glorious Easter day, when we celebrate together with other believers, I pray that you will rejoice in your salvation as I rejoice in mine.